All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave back again, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there just like you, just like me, in culture and politics. It's people. Here's the deal about me and Trump and all of that. All right, just to clear the air, okay? I'm not this Trump sycophant. I don't follow a man. I'm not part of a cult. I don't say in Trump we trust. I tend to say in God we trust, right? I'm more libertarian than anything else. So I don't trust either political party. And I don't trust the people in the military industrial complex. I don't trust the people in the medical industrial complex. And I don't trust people in the information industrial complex, which is essentially 99% of the news media, right? So if a news person puts out a story, I'm going to be skeptical right from the get-go. I'll do my own research, come to my own conclusions, get second opinions. In the case of Aaron Lewis, who sings for the band Stained, right? He also has a solo career as kind of a outlaw country, rebel country kind of guy. And I kind of like his country persona better. Never been a big fan of the band Stained. It's just my tastes, and you may have a different take on that, and that's cool. That's fine. Hey, this is why there are different styles of music, right? But this isn't stuff I would, go to the island with because it's kind of depressing sounding. Although I do like to hear Aaron Lewis singing about things that pertain to what's going on in the world right now. Apparently, Aaron Lewis just made the mistake of joining Truth Social, which again, Trump owns and operates essentially. I don't think he's like managing the day-to-day affairs of it, but it's his social media platform. And a friend of mine told me, a good friend who actually runs an internet radio station, he said to me, there's a doctor who went over there and posted some really important information about what's been going on the last 2+ years. And apparently the content was censored or taken down. And I'm just like, on Truth Social? And he's like, yep. So again, remember what happened to Parler, right? Parler, they're using the same servers as Twitter, and Twitter didn't like it, so they just turned it off. Now, I know Truth Social, I think they have kind of their own way of, you get the app from them or you add to home screen. They avoid, like, it's not in the Google Play Store. So people are going out and they're, again, these people, I get following Trump. I get it. If you like Donald Trump, I don't have a problem with that. But the people who assume that I just worship Donald Trump, that's not correct. I, again, liked paying $1.89 for gas, just admittedly so. I liked the fact that inflation was under control, just stating facts. There were some things that I think, for me personally, like going to the grocery store was a lot better when Trump was president. So those are things that affect my daily life, right? Now, the bigger picture issues, like firing people, draining the swamp, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. And Operation Warp Speed, hello. Yeah, that to me was really just kind of like depressing, because the political calculation was, if I can save the world, right, then people will definitely vote for me. And I can't say either way if that worked or not. Let me just put it that way to be, a little bit more diplomatic for the folks here on this, who run this particular platform, who monitor things, and some things you can say and some things you can't. Yes, I'm very suspicious of things, but I'm just going to leave it there. But to do that as a political calculation, I get it, but then admit later on, look, I was wrong about it. And you won't hear that. You just won't. It's you move on to the next thing. The next thing is, well, I won't lock you down. You've got your freedom. You've got the freedom not to do something. That's better than nothing, but it's still not what I want to hear. I want to hear the Department of Health and Human Services, bye-bye. Department of Education, see you later, right? I mean, those are the things that are going to change the country, where power comes back to the states and to the people, and it's truly decentralized, and people can live without the shackles, without the burdens that the government puts on you every single day in this country, the regulations, the rules, the mindless policies, the culture that they want to, like, impart upon this culture, which is sick and twisted. And this is what they're promoting day after day. And look, I didn't see a whole lot of difference in certain areas. Economically, if you're going to argue with $1.89 gas, then you're missing the point. If you're going to argue with cheaper groceries and being able to make ends meet, and inflation that's not out of control. By the way, inflation was not 0% last month. It was 8.5% instead of 8.9. So it went down by like 0.4%. But if you use 1982 metrics, it's something like 18%, right? We're not using those metrics anymore. So you don't really get the true picture, but we're living through the kind of inflation that has probably only happened one other time, and that was during the Great Depression. Now, people still have a higher standard of living. People are still doing okay, and there are ways, obviously, to get food still. Food pantries all being funded by the government, NGOs that are getting money from the government and then feeding the people who are driving up in their Lexus SUVs, piling in groceries that they probably can afford to buy. But, we set up a system, and then people take advantage of that system. It's like, look, there's food over there for free. Now, I've gone way off the track here because I'm supposed to be talking about Aaron Lewis and him joining Truth Social, right? Because that's the key issue that the media just can't understand. Like, they have to write about this. Like, it's really important that he set up this account over there. That's his business. That's his right to do it. He says you can't censor the truth. Well, hey, Aaron, talk to Dr. Tenpenny about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Maybe most of the truth won't get censored. I don't know. I think Gab has the best track record for people saying whatever they want to say. Now, people will say, well, what about hate speech? Well, the First Amendment protects all speech, not some speech, but all speech, especially focusing on political speech, which is very disagreeable. You hear this I speak truth to power thing. You hear that a lot. Does it mean anything these days? Can you speak truth to power? And, whether I like Roger Waters or not, the other day when he did that interview on CNN, he said some things that you're not supposed to say in corporate media. For instance, like, we could negotiate and end the war in Ukraine. We could stop that rather than sending weapons over there. Again, I don't agree with Roger Waters on a lot of other things. But the fact that he was able to say that, and of course, the backlash was swift from all the usual places. Like, I thought Roger Waters was on our team. I thought he was into endless wars, right? Even though his father died trying to, I guess, end an endless war, right? So the bottom line through all of this is that, number one, people have the right to join social media sites without extensive scrutiny. Number two, Trump is not the answer to everyone's problems. What he has done, though, I think, in a way, is he opened up a can of worms, and he stood up a few times and said, no, I'm not going to go along with what you're telling me to do. People who voted for me, those people need to be represented, right? Rather than being called names like deplorable, right? Those people shouldn't have been called any names. Those are the people that make the country work. What I'm worried about is the people that make the country work. Are they just like a political football? They get kicked around and they get used and they get told a bunch of things, and then really nothing changes. You know, you got to get rid of the administrative state. You've got to get rid of the people who are actually running the show. Let's just be honest. No matter who the president is, they only have so much latitude. They can go out there and convince people, use the bully pulpit to kind of change the direction of the country. But guess what? It's like tinkering around the edges. It's like moving the chairs around on the deck of the Titanic. That's what it is. I mean, what was it? Howard Phillips, the guy who ran, I think, as the Constitution Party candidate in the year 2000, said both political parties are going over the cliff. They're just going over the cliff at different speeds, right? So you look at the spending bill that was just passed. It's not inflation reduction. You don't reduce inflation by printing tons of money. That will cause just the opposite. That will do the exact opposite of what, and this is why George Orwell matters. I should get a t-shirt that says George Orwell matters, because it's every day it's Orwell. Orwell shows up again. The language, it used to be Build Back Better, right? And now it's the Inflation Reduction Act. It's the Help My Neighbor in Need Act. You know, put some shiny label on it, and all it is crony capitalism, giving money away to the people who supposedly are going to solve all these problems. And we're going to have, remember, shovel-ready jobs from how many years ago? Like 12 years ago? The first big stimulus, which didn't stimulate anything, just prolonged the recession that we were in 10 years ago. And here we are again. And the same people are in charge. See, again, Trump, $1.89 gas, low inflation, groceries, manageable. These are things that really matter to people. So this is why a lot of people are like, look, definitely, if you want to go with the whole lesser of two evils argument, absolutely Trump, at 100,000%, yeah, but there are systemic problems underneath that if we don't deal with them, again, you're just going to go from one president to the next president to the next president. One president might steer the car back onto the road a little bit. The other president's going to put it back in the ditch. Right now, there's nobody really driving the car, right? You think the guy who's in there now, he's not even upright in the seat. He's slumped over. Someone else pulling the strings, doing all of the hard work, or not hard work, but just directing the car off the road into the ditch as far as possible. And it seems like it's on purpose. I don't know why people would do that to everyday hardworking Americans, but it seems like it's on purpose. And I don't have another explanation. If they think this is good for people, what they're doing, I don't know. It's sadistic behavior. It's very much not helping the situation. And you can just look at the numbers, look at the statistics, okay? And if you're going to talk about unemployment, it's like, yeah, a lot of people just dropped out of the workforce and never came back, right? And then a bunch of people got a lot of money not to work. And so once you condition people that way, they're gonna take the easy road. I mean, heck, you know, people are coming to this country in droves. Why? Because they're leaving regimes that are crumbling and falling apart. Nicaragua, I think, is the latest one to have a meltdown, and people are leaving because essentially, I think in Nicaragua, like, they were shutting churches down. And, you know, I think people need to change their perception of most of the people that are coming here, even though I think there needs to be a legal and orderly way in which they enter the country. 100% agree with that. But the people who think they're going to get everyone's vote, who's coming here, like they're going to be able to vote, and they're going to vote for the status for all the people that want to lock you down all the time. I don't think so. I don't think so. These people are into religious freedom, right? And this is why our country was founded in the first place, because people were fleeing so they could have religious freedom. Pretty interesting parallel there, right? So just, again, take all the information in. And I understand we've got cartels and we've got fentanyl and we got all that stuff coming into the country, and it's crazy. And again, our government should be protecting us against threats, both foreign and domestic. That seems to be a threat of some kind, and we need to analyze that. But some of the people coming here might actually shift this country back to a more traditional family style atmosphere, outcome. Don't know. But we need to do way more to get rid of the people who are actually running the show. That's the problem. It's not the person that you see on TV. They're like a spokesperson for the people underneath. And if the people underneath don't agree with the guy who's in charge, they're going to make his life miserable. And in the case of Trump, that's obviously what they're doing. And again, he's flawed. He's not my first choice for anything, but he's 1,000 times better than what we have now. And anybody who thinks otherwise and doesn't look at statistics, doesn't look at, the economy, doesn't look at inflation, doesn't look at real wages, doesn't look at all of these issues with an open mind and say, yeah, my life was better in 2019. Whose life wasn't a little bit better in 2019, right? Prior to the chaos that ensued in 2020. I mean, things I think were going pretty well. We had problems, but we didn't have the level of problems we have now. Again, it's easy to forget. People have short memories, but I think focusing on the future where the power goes back to the individual, back to the states, back to your local communities, and the federal government is just like been reduced to where it doesn't get in your way anymore. That would be my goal as a political person, saying this is what I want. So in any event, that's my video about Aaron Lewis. Well, it's not about Aaron Lewis, but he started it. And, go sign up for Truth Social if you want to. Be careful, though. If you post medical information over there, they might censor it, which is sad. But I'm sure you're going to get away with stuff that you can't get away with on Twitter. So it would probably be a huge step up from the Brown River. But then again, going for a walk is actually a better thing than social media. Just saying. All right, that's my video. I'm done. Back soon. See you then.